it's Dr. Kyrin, and in this episode, we're going to answer a question by Alessiaa, who is wondering if wine is messing with her hormones. And I love this question because it can apply if you're not doing anything to try to address your hormonal poverty. Wine can mess with your hormones. We're going to talk about why. And it can apply if you are doing something to manage your hormonal poverty and get to hormonal prosperity. So we're going to talk about both of these, and it definitely applies to you because a large majority of people in Western nations actually consume alcohol. So it's an important question for us women over 40 to ask. Is wine messing with our hormones? Here's the answer. So Alessiaa writes, I'm 51-year-old female. I just started HRT. She's using an estradiol patch and a progesterone oral daily. She's sleeping better and has more energy, and she thinks her mood is better overall. She takes magnesium malate at night, and she takes 2 progesterone at night. Last night, she had 2 glasses of wine. This morning, she had diarrhea. Could this be caused by the wine? Is it common? Please help. I love this question. So let's talk first about somebody who's already addressing some of their hormonal poverty issues. So Alessiaa, if you're watching, you are addressing some. I heard you mention estradiol, and I heard you mention progesterone. So yay you. And there are other issues that go into creating hormonal poverty that you might not know about that could predispose you to having diarrhea when you consume wine and be contributing to your hormonal poverty. Because if you're only looking at 2 hormones, estrogen and progesterone, you're missing the point of hormonal poverty, which is not only about estrogen and progesterone. Mainstream medicine would have you believe that it's pretty much only about estrogen, and a few select doctors who are in the know will know that progesterone is a part of that too. But the large majority of them won't know that insulin, thyroid, cortisol, DHEA are involved with creating hormonal poverty, and that these hormones like cortisol are directly informed by other parts of your health, namely your gastrointestinal health. Yep, I said it. Most of you don't think that your GI tract has anything to do with your hormones. And what I want to tell you is that your GI tract is the center of your body, literally, and figuratively is the center of your hormonal health. It is the main pillar of health for women's hormones. So when you're talking about diarrhea, that's a gastrointestinal problem. What does it have to do with hormones? Well, part of what you need to have done as a proper evaluation for hormonal poverty is a functional gastrointestinal evaluation. That's not a regular stool test that looks for specific parasites and bacteria and viruses that can infect humans that mainstream medicine would recognize and treat with an antibiotic or an antiviral or an antiparasitic medication. But this includes a functional evaluation of your gastrointestinal tract. How much inflammation do you have going on in there? Or is your body overgrown with abnormal bacteria and undergrown with healthy bacteria you might know as probiotics? Do you have enough prebiotics? How are your digestive enzymes doing? How are your bile acids doing? How is your body digesting food, processing it? Is it not processing fats properly, proteins, carbohydrates? It's really a functional evaluation. Mainstream medicine is very focused on anatomic problems in the gastrointestinal system. So if you have a functional problem like irritable bowel syndrome, or IBS is the most common one, I used to have that, then they're just going to go based on symptoms. They're not really going to do any other diagnostic tests because they don't know about functional stool testing or food sensitivity testing. They're going to skip over it. Then they're going to go looking for an anatomic problem by doing an endoscopy or imaging study of the upper or lower gastrointestinal tract. Maybe you've had that. I had that. And they put a scope down when I weighed 243 pounds and looked at my stomach and, oh, you have gastritis. Well, that's all they found. And they put me on high-powered proton pump inhibitors. Maybe you're there too. Well, that stops you from digesting your food, so it actually causes more problems downstream, but that's a whole other topic. So back to the functional stool testing, they might in mainstream medicine scope you from the bottom. They did that to me, looking for Crohn's, ulcerative colitis. They might do a biopsy. And they might look for celiac disease, a genetic sensitivity to gluten. But if you don't have any of these anatomic problems, they might look for gallstones, right? Or fatty liver. They're pretty much going to say, well, you have irritable bowel, and they're going to give you a medication that calms down the muscle of gastrointestinal tract. And when your bowel is less spastic, they're going to claim victory. But what you need to know is that there are problems happening at a subanatomic level, at a functional level, that can predispose you to hormonal poverty, to immune system dysfunction, and to getting diarrhea, whether or not you are taking hormones. So, Alessiaa, I like this question because it's interesting that it sounds like you believe that your progesterone and estrogen have something to do with the diarrhea. And what I'm here to tell you is it doesn't. Okay. You have a gastrointestinal problem that is functional, right? That's pretty much most often what causes diarrhea. Less often it's an anatomic problem like Crohn's or ulcerative colitis or diverticulitis. And the wine is a toxicant. It is a solvent that is a poison. If you drink enough, it will kill you, and it doesn't actually take that much to kill a human being. So it's a poison. We just don't drink enough of it usually to kill us. We just drink little bits, and then we wonder why we have a problem, which is kind of a conundrum. But it kills cells in the gastrointestinal lining. It clogs up your liver from processing these hormones. So here's where there can be an interaction between alcohol and estrogen, progesterone, and other sex hormones, is that your liver is the main processing plant or sanitation department for these sex hormones, meaning it has the job of packaging them up and getting rid of them through the stool. So alcohol actually is also metabolized by some of the same enzymes in the liver. So if your liver is busy detoxifying alcohol that you've drunk, and that's from wine, beer, hard alcohol, vodka, tequila, it doesn't matter what type of alcohol, it's all processed through the same system in the liver. If your liver is busy processing it, and you better believe that it prioritizes that because it recognizes it as a toxicant and says, oh my gosh, we've got to get this out of here, it is not going to properly detoxify your sex hormones. So you drink a glass of wine at night and you think, oh, I'm good. Some people take it because it helps them sleep. It's going to help me sleep. And that's not usually the case. It actually disrupts your healthy restorative sleep. But nonetheless, most people who do that think that they're sleeping well, so they're good. Then you wake up and you have diarrhea. And so, yes, here is where the alcohol can be interfering with your estrogen and progesterone. So your body has been busy detoxifying the alcohol all night, not worrying about your hormones. So your hormonal prosperity and balance that you might have achieved before starts dropping, and you go into a temporary state of hormonal poverty. So yes, it could be the alcohol, but most people don't get diarrhea when they drink alcohol, which tells me that you probably have a functional stool problem contributing to your hormonal poverty that's informing other hormones that you probably haven't looked at, like your cortisol, which needs a salivary test, checking it 4 times in a day, your insulin, your thyroid. Most likely you'll have a cortisol problem, and that directly relates to your gastrointestinal problem. And that's a whole other video and a whole other topic. If you want to hear about that, please let me know because I'm happy to do a video about it. But your cortisol stress hormone and your gastrointestinal system hormone intimately involved with your sex hormones. So if you're not using any sex hormone replacement therapy, what are you waiting for is my question. Get your hormones properly checked. And if you are deficient and you're not able to make enough of your sex hormones, replace them. After a certain age, once we go through menopause, we lose the ability to make the majority of our estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone. We lose the ability to make enough to keep us in hormonal prosperity, to keep us out of heart disease, heart attacks, osteoporosis, bone fractures, dementia, immune system dysfunction, autoimmune disease, cancers. We lose all of that. So if you're not taking care of that, go do that. But do not neglect all the other things, factors in your body that go into either keeping you in hormonal prosperity or putting you in hormonal poverty, like your gastrointestinal health. Because this is where I see a lot of women, and I say, yay, you, if you're dealing with your estrogen, your progesterone, and or your testosterone, yay. And there's more work to do. I see women like this all the time complaining that something about their health isn't right. Usually it's more than one thing, those 60 plus symptoms of midlife metabolic mayhem. And they keep scratching their head. Am I on the right dosing route? Should I be using a pill or a shot or a transdermal cream or a patch? Or should I go to troches or should I use pellets? And they're thinking that the dosing is wrong or the way they're dosing is wrong. And what I'm saying is you're looking under the wrong street light. You need to move into the dark corners where there's no street light shining, where people aren't telling you to look, that I'm telling you to look because I know to tell you to look. Professionally, personally, is you need to look at these other factors that go into informing your health. And key for what you described, Alessiaa, is your gastrointestinal health. There's something going on there. Your regular doctor isn't going to know how to evaluate this. They're just going to do tests looking for anatomic problems or take your symptoms and give you a drug. That's all they're going to do. And I know I've been treated that way. It didn't fix my problem. You need functional testing and food sensitivity testing. And I teach you more about this in my Hormone Bliss Challenge. If you're not sure if you're in hormonal poverty, or I could be talking about you and you're wondering, how would I know? Go ahead and take my quiz. We'll have the link in the show notes. And you can take the quiz. It takes less than 2 minutes, and that will give you a good idea. But ultimately, there are specific tests. And if you want to have dialogue with me about this personally, come join my challenge that will be launching in February for the Hormone Bliss Challenge, to help you learn the exact steps that I've taken and that I have helped thousands of women take to get out of hormonal poverty into hormonal prosperity, so that you can get off the couch, into your jeans, and back into life. Thanks so much for joining me. I so welcome and enjoy answering your questions. Thank you for them. And until next time, peace, love, and hormones, y'all.